Assalamu alaikum everyone, this is Mohammad Asif Raza here, and in today's video again I have with me Mr. Shafin Sohail, the great sir. Thank you so much again for joining in, and I guess you don't need any introduction now. How are you, sir?
Thank you, Asib. Thank you so much, Asib. It's a privilege for me to be with you again. I really admire your work, and I have been watching your videos on YouTube. It's doing a great job. So yes, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, sir, for the appreciation. And now we will be moving with the questions. And the first question here is that how can student find that right direction when it comes to career selection? Because obviously it is difficult for students when they have multiple options. So how can student identify that this subject or this particular field is going to be my career for my life or in my future? So what would be your suggestions that how can student identify the right career?
I think we need to go back, a little further with this, and we need to first identify uh, the schooling systems in any country, which certainly develops the personality of any individual. You know, when you talk about career, when you talk about passion, you have to first maintain an order in schools that identify these things in the children, right? So
Right.
that has to be the first step. I think the institution should be the driving force in this particular part of life, and career choosing parts of life, where institutions first drive and first identify where the student is lacking and where the student is good at. So that has to be the first step. Institutions should make people enable students first, and they have to be the driving force in this thing. So yeah, I think this completes my first answer. That students should be since when you are a kid, you cannot choose any particular you can say field, because you're not driven by anything. So driving force should be your institution. They should guide you, and then when you feel that and one particular you can say instinct that is good in you, and one particular quality that is good in you, then that should be your responsibility to polish those skills, and then you can select that particular field for yourself.
Yes, exactly. Schooling system must need to change their system to identify and to drive the students to identify that right direction, the right career for them. Very well described, sir. Again, so moving on to the next question, and that is, what is your definition of success? And obviously, success has multiple definition, and it's a relative concept. But what would be your definition, and how will you define the term and the word success?
Asif, I think this there are multiple dimensions to this question. I think
Yes,
the first one is that you know it's like it's a multi-dimensional question, because the
yes,
first thing should be people usually talk about success, and they think more about the money. If
yes,
someone has money, he is successful in this world. So for me, it's quite different. I think it's more like what you're giving back to the society, what you're giving back to the community. That has to be my definition of success. If you're not giving anything back to the society, if you're not able to change people around you, if you're not able to advise people around you, I think that would be a failure. So if you have learned something, give it back to the society. So if you are able to make people change about their behaviors, and if you're able to make a change in people's life, I think you're successful. And
yes,
money comes along the way. Let me tell you, money is a thing which can which will definitely follow you if you are good with people around you. So it in no in another way, you can tell, you can say that when you are connecting with people, when you're networking with people around you, you make, good relations with people around you, and you're advising good to the people around you, they would be the one who would, certainly somehow come to you when you start a business, when when you are applying for jobs, they would be the one to help you. So success can be, what you can say, success can be identified in different ways. One is that you are giving back to the society. The other success is the monetary success that comes along the way. And the third one is that recognition. you know when you're successful and when you're giving back to the society, recognition is very important, because with recognition you can obviously enhance your circle, enhance your business, and involve more money in it. So you get more opportunities with that. So it's like a multi-dimensional thing, and we need to be working on different dimensions here.
Yes, exactly. All three things you have said are very well. Yes, we have to be the money thing, and then the fame thing. They are secondary things, and we have to be helping people, adding values in the life of people. That's where is the success. You are will be successful if you are adding values in the life of people and helping them. Yes, exactly. So, moving on to the next question, that is, how can students gain that consistency in that one right direction they have chosen? Now, we have that direction, but obviously, we need that consistency and focus. So, what would be your recommendation that how can a person, an individual, can gain that consistency in that one passion, which is his career or whatever it is?
Right. So we're talking about consistency and focus, right?
Yes, yes,
Uh, the most, the hardest thing in life is, maintaining consistency.
yes,
So actually, we need to go back and look, why are not people consistent? So first step is that, when you select a passion and when you select a profession, when you are certainly something, you have something and you are into something, uh, the next step is then sometimes you hear people that they're passionate about something, but they are not consistent in that particular field, and sometimes they leave that field. So why does this happen? Because they are not able to be consistent, and they're not able to control their mood swings. Because even if you are a cricketer, some days you're very high in energy and you're hitting those sixes, and some days you're not able to even move. Why does that happen? That happens because you're not consistent in your performance. So first you have to deal with your brain, you have to deal with your mind. You have to tell your brain, you have to tell your mind that whatever is going to happen, I will be sticking to this field. I will be sticking, and I'll be doing this thing for the next 5 years. There is a rule which is called, uh, you have to give at least 5,000 hours to anything you're doing. So if you're putting in 5,000 hours, you have to be committed to that. You have to put in same level of energy every day. You have to wake up, you will be disappointed every day. You will think that this is not going to work, and I'll have to move away to a different field. I'll have to move away to a different profession. I'll have to change my passion. But then you'll have to be consistent with that, and you have to tell your brain that I'm going to do this, and whatever the circumstances are, even if I'm losing here, I'll be good the next day. You need to sleep with a good tomorrow in your mind. Whatever the circumstances are, whatever the setbacks of the day are, you need to wake up with a good morning, right? So it's all connected with the brain, consistency and focus. This is something that you have to tell your brain every day.
yes, exactly. It's all about your brain. We have to visualize positive thoughts and we have to motivate ourselves to gain that consistency and focus. So, yes, very well described. Moving on to the next question is a very important question I consider, and that is should our way of thinking be unidirectional or multidimensional? And by this I means because in this fast-paced changing world, and the things are changing pretty quickly, due to COVID-19 and all that stuff. So should we be sticking to us that one direction which we have chosen, or should we be thinking like flexible enough to adopt ourselves according to the circumstances and changing our career according to the need in the market. So, what would be your suggestion that should our way of thinking be unidirectional or multi-directional?
I think I would answer this question in a very different way. I would say that, uh, you have to be, you'll have to be a risk taker, as well as you'll need to be, playing safe. Now, what I mean with that is that, when I talk about myself, because I'm the one who's answering this question, so I will talk about myself, and that is, that I took a job. It's a very simple example. I took a job and I started working because I knew that I had no money at that point in time. So I started working. I started learning the skill where I was working, but that was not my passion, right? I was doing it because I was playing safe there, right? So I was sort of multi-directional in that way. I was playing safe, but I knew that I wanted money to, start a business. So I was a risk taker in a way that I invested all the money that I earned from my job, and, through different investors, I talked to people throughout the time, throughout my journey, and I convinced people to invest money. So that was my way of playing safe and being a risk taker. So you have to be multi-directional that way, because that is the way forward now. You cannot you always need to be, you need to have a plan A and plan B as well. You need to have a plan B. Even, I say that you need to have a plan C and D as well, because it's, somehow it happens that you have to follow your passion, but you're not able to follow because you don't have money in backups. You need food, you need security, you need house, you need to pay your bills. So if your passion is not able to, support you in monetary terms, then you have to have a plan A.
Yes, yes, exactly. Very well described again. And moving on to the next question, that is very important as well. And how can we make our decision making ability stronger? Because we have to take decisions at different stages of our lives. So some decisions can be very helpful for us to change our life, in fact. So, what would be your suggestion that how can we make our decision making ability stronger?
See, there are two answers to this question. The one is that, uh, how can we enable ourselves to be a good decision maker?
Yes,
And the other question should be that, how do we make our decisions, right?
yes,
There are
yes,
two different
exactly.
dimensions. The first one is that how we become a good decision maker is that, the ability, comes with experience. This ability, specifically this ability, in my opinion, it comes with your experience. The more you get through different experiences of life, the more you're able to take decisions on, because you learn about things, and the first time you learn about something, the next time you take a better decision about that particular thing, the particular aspect, and the third time you're a more better decision maker. So it comes along with time. The other aspect of this particular question is, that uh, I think we need to, take advice from people around us, who we think are good in intellect, and who we think are better decision makers. I think we should always involve them, and that should not be more people and many people. That should be, certainly, a limited group of people who we think are trustworthy and who we think are better decision makers. We should always involve them in our decision making. So that would certainly enable us to be good decision makers, and in the meanwhile would enable us to be, what you can say, experienced people.
Yes, exactly. Discussion with experienced people can certainly help us improve our decision making ability. Very well described. And moving on to the last question of this debate, that is, what would be your advice to a freshly graduated student who has just graduated from university and is now looking for a job or master's or maybe business? So, what would be your advice?
I think, Azib, uh, what I have learned so far, I would advise a 22-year-old or 20-year-old who is currently studying in university or who has recently graduated. I would tell them, to, if they are in their final semester, or if they are in, their final year, I would suggest them to start working. In Pakistan, the culture is very different. We feel that, when we are in university, we feel that we're not, we should not work, and we should always, focus on our studies, and, have a good GPA, and then we'll think about the, work thing. I think if you want to create entrepreneurs and thinkers, you have to start a bit, earlier. So if you are a young graduate, or if you are just about to graduate, start thinking. At least if you're not able to practically do anything, start thinking. Because when I started, I had these ideas back when I was in my university. When I was, halfway in my university, I had a lot of ideas in my mind. I used to think, I used to observe, I used to talk to people, I used to share my ideas, I used to take the feedbacks from people. I used to take, I used to talk about the investment. I used to talk about how I am going to generate that investment. I used to talk to people. I used to convince people to invest in my business idea. So, that has to do with the ideas, and that has to do with the thinking. That should be the starting point of, my advice. It should be the starting point. It should be the pivot that would certainly control your life ahead, the next 5 years at least, your career. So start thinking about these ideas, and start talking to people, and start convincing them. People would, people, investors especially, would never invest in your idea. This is the new trend, that they would never invest until and unless they see something practical. So at least you start thinking about your ideas. You have a better idea, talk to people. If you think the feedback is very good, then polish your ideas. So this is my sort of the first advice. The second advice, which is you can say, it's very common now. I think always, uh, think about your mental health. That is very important. Let me tell you. Uh, People usually do not talk about it. People usually do not think about it. But this is very important aspect of your life, because your half of your life would next half of your life would depend on this thing. Because if you're not mentally well, if you're not mentally able to make decisions well, you won't do anything better in life. So you need to look after yourself mentally. You have to talk to people. You can talk to people who are positive thinkers. If you feel that you're not mentally well, uh, and it can be personal as well. It's not always your career. It can be something that is very personal to you. That is why you are not mentally well. It could be one of the many reasons. So always stay mentally well. This is my advice to youngsters who are going to be joining the industry. The third thing is, never panic. This is very interesting, because when you're young, what happens is that usually something bad happens and you panic. So never panic. I would suggest, if something is bad and something happening to you is bad around you, something is bad, always stay calm. Try to maintain calmness in your mind and your body. Because when you're calm, even if something is bad is happening to you, you'll be able to find better solutions around you, and better solutions to people around you. So always stay calm, never panic, be consistent, uh, be punctual. This is one of the many key aspects of life. What I see now is that students who are recently graduating and joining companies, they are not punctual. I see this a lot. When they join companies, I usually see them, they are coming late to the offices. They're not, they don't mean their commitments. So this has to be one of the key things that a student should learn, that they have to be punctual. Because the corporate world is very different from the university. Corporate world if I may put it in this word, it is cruel. You know, University teaches you a lot, but corporate world teaches you life. So when you enter this cruel world, you have to be punctual, because you don't want to give anyone a chance to talk about your performance. And when anyone talks about your performance, the first thing comes into mind that, even the employer, and that is, how punctual this person is. So if you're punctual, you've passed the first step. So be punctual, be always punctual. And I think the last advice that I may give to anyone who's graduating is that start saving money. You know, start saving. Even the penny of that money would count. If you have 1 year ahead, if you have 2 year ahead, even if you're saving like 5,000 a month, that would give you 60,000 rupees by the end of this year when you graduate. So start saving, start you know saving that money that you are currently uh, you know spending on having fun outside, and going around with your friends. I know that that is also very important to your mental, that you hang out. But if you think that you can save a bit amount of money from that money, do start saving it, because that will help you when you graduate. You can start up a very small business with that. I can tell you that you can start business within 100K. So if you have somewhere between 50K to 100K, you can start up a small business. And anything that you start, any startup is never a small startup. Even if you are starting a cart of like fries, that would not be a small business, because you have a startup. So you can set up that business as well. So save, because now is the time to save. That will give you a boost when you start your career. Because it's not going to be always a case where you get a job right after you graduate. So circumstances can be different. So you will have to be having a little amount of money in your pocket, so that you can spend it in your business.
Yes, yes, exactly. Very good set of advice. Think positive, think about new ideas, be punctual, and don't panic, and take care of your mental health and start saving money. Very well described, and all of those advices hopefully will be beneficial for whoever watches that video. So, thank you so much, sir. And it concludes our dialogue.